Y'all want chaos? Let me be your conduit. Let me be your bastion of evil. If you want to see anarchy, if you're an anarchist and you want somebody that is going to crash out with no remorse.
You know, some people are born to make history, and others are born to make a complete fool of themselves on the world stage. Johnny Somali, that guy is a master at the second one.
With no sense of self-worth, with no sense of self-preservation. I will be your man.
This man went from being one of the most despised live streamers on the internet to pulling off what might be the dumbest prison escape attempt of all time. Now, if you somehow managed to miss the Johnny Somali saga, first of all, congratulations. Your brain cells have been spared some serious damage. But for the rest of us, we've witnessed this dude dig himself into a hole so deep, he's basically competing with the Mariana Trench at this point.
A 5-year sentence is a joke. I mean, 5 years is no joke, but he's also not done getting all of his charges. So 5 years is the appetizer. I see you've looked at a little bit on the case, but not enough. Okay, Johnny Somali, he's that nuisance streamer that I've covered for quite a while. He's the guy that does like the world tour of getting his ass beaten.
Let's rewind for a second. Johnny Somali made his career off of being a professional nuisance, running around Japan, harassing innocent people, making racist jokes, and essentially begging to be arrested. And guess what? Japan finally got tired of his bullshit and locked him up. Justice served, right? Well, apparently Johnny wasn't ready to accept his fate because the absolute madman just tried escaping from prison. If only he had a brain now when you hear about a prison escape attempt. Your brain probably jumps to something out of Shawshank Redemption, a meticulously planned operation, a spoon secretly carving out a tunnel over several years, maybe even a dramatic crawl through a sewage pipe. But nah, Johnny Somali went with something a little less Ocean's 11 and a little more Looney Tunes. Reports say that Johnny actually believed he could just walk out of the prison, like he thought he was in some kind of video game and could just clip through the walls if he pressed the right buttons. According to sources, he attempted to exploit what he thought was a weak point in the facility's security, except, spoiler alert, it wasn't weak at all. Apparently, his master plan involved trying to sprint past the guards when they were doing a routine check. This man really thought he could activate some sort of real-life speedrun glitch and outrun trained professionals inside a Japanese prison, where security is so tight they probably have anime protagonists guarding the place. Needless to say, his plan didn't work. In fact, it failed so spectacularly that it probably got him a few extra years tacked onto his sentence. Reports say he made it about 5 seconds into his prison break before he was tackled harder than an NFL quarterback during a blitz. And you just know those guards weren't holding back. They probably took this as a personal challenge, like, oh, you think you can disrespect our prison security? All right, bet. The aftermath? Well, Johnny got thrown into even stricter confinement, which means his little live streaming career is officially on the world's longest pause. The dude went from harassing random Japanese citizens on trains to having all his daily activities monitored down to the second. That's called poetic justice, folks.
He's gonna come get me. Tell them niggas come find me. I ain't scared of them niggas. Shout out North Korea. Shout out Pyongyang. Shout out Kim Jong-un. That's my nigga till the day I die. Fuck South Korea.
It's honestly incredible how far Johnny Somali has fallen. He had every opportunity to just not be an idiot, but he chose the most self-destructive path possible. His entire existence was built around being an online troll, and now he's basically a real-life cautionary tale. If there were an award for the most hilariously awful prison break attempt of all time, Johnny Somali would take home the gold medal. This guy really thought he could just outrun Japanese law enforcement, the same people who have a conviction rate of 99%. That's not a typo. Japan's legal system is basically a boss fight on the hardest difficulty, and Johnny ran in like he forgot to equip armor. But this escape attempt? This wasn't just dumb, it was next level, historically significant stupidity. This was a case study in bad decision making, the kind of thing future criminals will study under the chapter titled, How to Ruin Your Life in 5 Seconds. Let's break down exactly how brain-meltingly bad this plan was. Step 1, get arrested like an idiot. Johnny Somali didn't just get arrested, he practically begged for it. Imagine getting caught inside a country where law enforcement doesn't play around. After spending months antagonizing its citizens like a budget cartoon villain, you don't need a crystal ball to see how that ends. After months of live streaming himself being the worst possible human, getting banned from platforms, and making enemies worldwide, Japan finally said, all right, that's enough internet for you, and locked him up. This should have been the wake-up call of a lifetime, but nope. Johnny decided his next move was to attempt the dumbest prison break ever attempted.
It's looking like Johnny Somali had his court case today, and it didn't go very well. Oh my God. How is this guy real? He won't be for long.
Step 2, the Great Escape. That wasn't now. Let's talk about the execution, or rather, the complete lack of one. If you're gonna try escaping prison, maybe don't do it like a toddler throwing a tantrum at daycare. Johnny's grand plan? Sprint past the guards and hope for the best. That's it. No disguise, no tunnel, no bribe, just pure delusion. I can almost hear the Mission Impossible theme playing in his head as he counted down the seconds to his speed run to freedom. Except instead of executing a 200 IQ strategy, he got about 3 steps into his escape before getting absolutely annihilated by security. Eyewitness reports describe it as less of a dramatic chase and more of a comedy sketch gone wrong. Imagine watching a guy take off at full speed, only to get body slammed into the shadow realm by a guard who probably hadn't even finished his morning coffee yet. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the prison security cameras caught the moment in 4K Ultra HD, complete with slow motion replays and sports commentators analyzing the play. Step 3, instant regret. The aftermath of Johnny's failed prison break attempt is exactly what you'd expect. Not only did he not escape, but he managed to make his situation 100 times worse. Now, instead of rotting in a normal Japanese prison cell, he's probably in maximum security lockdown, where his daily schedule is stricter than a military boot camp. His live streaming days? Over. His delusions of internet fame? Gone. And let's be real, if there was even the slightest chance of Japan being lenient on him before, that's dead now. The legal system already had him in a chokehold, and after this cartoonishly bad stunt, he basically handed them the keys to make sure he never breathes fresh air again. Johnny Somali is the living embodiment of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. He had every opportunity to stop ruining his own life, but instead, he hit the self-destruct button at full force. This escape attempt? It wasn't just pathetic, it was poetic justice.
To harass people, break laws, and just be like the most insufferable piece of shit imaginable. And it usually ends with his face on the floor or his face in somebody's asshole. And
Security charge. Does anybody know what the that means?
Johnny Somali had his court trial today. Things went terrible for him. He came in smiling and mocking us, but the smile was cut off quickly when the judge announced the charges. With the current official charges, he's facing a decade in prison.
And this was a few days before the trial when he was interrogated by South Korea intelligence.
It's National Intelligence Security Charge. He looked me in the eye and he said, "Johnny, do you know where North Korea is?" I said, "It's the dumbass guy, like, north of here, like straight." "What's your relationship with North Korean communists?" I said, "Right to remain silent."
After months of making a career out of being an annoying racist clown, he ended up becoming the biggest joke of all. And the best part? Nobody feels bad for him. Not even a little. The only real tragedy here is that we didn't get to see his mugshot immediately after the guards folded him like a lawn chair. At this point, the only thing left to do is grab some popcorn, sit back, and watch as Johnny Somali goes from a YouTube villain to a real-life mystical tale.